Hey guys, it's Steph from the Hot Moon Podcast. So, where do we begin? There's only really one place to begin, and it's James Harden. I hate making this vid. I was hoping not to. I was hoping to make the vid in a positive manner if the Clippers had won this series, just to go ahead and congratulate Kawhi Leonard and also really give props to James Harden. But no, we a total opposite. I can't put this series on Kawhi Leonard. I got to credit Kawhi Leonard for just toughing it out this season, coming back, playing more games, and we saw what Kawhi was able to do in the postseason. He had a great series for the most part, honestly. At points, the best player in the series, hands down, right? But number one, congratulations to the Denver Nuggets after the coaching change. Mike Malone, he didn't really know where this Nuggets team was gonna go. Just the rumblings, the internal discourse that you've been hearing about with Russell Westbrook and his minutes, and just the lack of having the young players play in the lineup. Seemed like Adelman, the coach, Junior, or Adelman of the other famous coach, Rick Adelman, I think. I think he coached the Kings. Anyways, though, congratulations to him and getting this Nuggets team. I believe they play OKC. I'm not sure who they face next, if it's OKC. I think so. Going to be a tough matchup for OKC. The Denver Nuggets are looking like they're in championship form. They have everything together and are clicking. I know I made fun of Michael Porter saying, could this be the last dance? Because he made a talk about, is their version of the last dance? Well, if they make a really deep run, do they really have to change anything, right? I think just the lack of defense in the season, the defensive emphasis is turned up a notch for them in the postseason, and it seemed like the players are playing for that coach as opposed to the always grumpy Mike Malone. So kudos to the Denver Nuggets. So back to the Clippers and James Harden. Boy, was James Harden on the spotlight. He really was. All right, we know how in closeout games, game sevens, ultimate meltdown guy, masterful job at melting down. I know that they presented a lot of defensive fronts up against Harden and everything to make it difficult, but you are considered a legendary player. In my opinion, James Harden is a legendary player with just some of his regular season performances, postseason performances, but it always comes down, the asterisk on James Harden is that he disappears in game 7, and right on schedule, he disappears. Okay, whether it's really all his fault, him trying to get guys more involved with the 13 assists, really not trying to make the game about it doesn't matter. You're James Harden, who averaged 22 points a game this season. You needed to step up. And he could not do that. 7 points is absolutely abysmal. That's Jalen Green territory. You know what I'm saying? Him getting, if Norman Powell, the same dude too, right? Didn't step up. Very, that's what, that's, if they both average about 20 points on average between the two of them, 20 points each. Couldn't get that done. You could make the case that if it got anywhere close to their averages, they're walking away, they're running away with this game. Not at all. Right, I gotta credit the Denver Nuggets for shutting down the Clippers, who was starting them. I was teetering on being a believer. If the Clippers had gotten through the series, I would have been like, you know what, I am gonna be leaning toward the Clippers coming out the West. The way Kawhi is playing, the way Harden is playing, and I'm not piling on Harden or hating on Harden because I've talked this year about giving Harden. I praised Harden many times of just when Kawhi was out, praising him about his leadership, and then just playing well with Norman Powell and Zubac, holding things down, more than holding things down until Kawhi Leonard comes. Once Kawhi Leonard came, you saw how they were getting through the first few games, okay, and then we have a dud of a game. I think he had another dud of a game too earlier in the series, but either way, he picked the spot to have his worst game and worst offensive or plus or minus stat line rating on a negative 29. This is absolutely abysmal from James Harden, and it's unfortunate that we're not going to talk about the James Harden, the Houston Rocket James Harden. We're not going to talk about his arc coming from OKC to Houston, then getting an MVP in Houston, battling the Warriors, all that stuff. We're going to talk about these flameouts in the postseason. You know, Stephen A. Smith earlier was like, James Harden earned his money. James Harden played well. He earned himself a new contract. We're not talking about bread here. We're not talking about his cash flow. We're talking about as a player who many people has viewed James Harden as a top 3, top 4 player in the NBA at many times in his career, that, you know what, he may not be that guy, but he's still highly productive. Still one of the top 15, 20 players in the NBA. Just when you accumulate just what he's done, and what he's done with this team, James Harden was very valuable for the LA Clippers this season, and unfortunately, he wasn't viable in the spot that they need him the most. Man, this is going to be a brutal week for James Harden. Sure, the Clippers can run it back with James Harden, but you know what's going to happen in the postseason is that he is going to shrink. Okay, but a lot of guys shrunk. Zubac shrunk, Powell shrunk, but if anybody doesn't get a pass for shrinking, it's the former league MVP in James Harden, right? You had your running mate Kawhi Leonard try to do his best. There was no relief from any other guys getting it going offensively. And here we are. Man, the legacy of James Harden is going to be tarnished, unfortunately. That's the reality of sports. You know, all week they were like, you know, and no one was really bashing James Harden. They were like, this is a great spot for James Harden to right the wrongs of his past in terms of these fourth quarter game 7 epic meltdowns. Okay, or not fourth quarter, but just epic game 7 meltdowns in totality. And here we are once again. I was really hoping we have a different story. But you know what? He has shown us who he has been in the past. You know, let people will show you who they are, but sometimes you can just look at their current history, their past history, and that'll project their future history. Man, I should have known better of having faith in James Harden. The game was looking shaky. The play of the game that sealed it for me about how this game was gonna go crazy was when James Harden inbounded that pass and Russell Westbrook intercepted it like a defensive DB. And kicked it quickly out to Aaron Gordon for a dunk, and then Ty Lue had to call. I said, the Clippers are in trouble. James Harden is in trouble. Break glass, get the children, the house is on fire. Absolutely bad, man. I like James Harden as a player. One of the greatest regular season players of all time, in my opinion. And people talk about KD, one of being the best scorers in NBA history. James Harden is up there. Peak James Harden, one of the best scorers I've ever seen. One of the best ISO games I've ever seen. Okay. You know, his legacy as an overall player is good. He's gonna be a first ballot, no question, Hall of Famer. But you know, going in next season, age 36, knowing what he produces in Game 7s is bad. You know, and unfortunately, it's not just this could turn to the major piece of his career, and then everything else of his career is a footnote, and then we're just gonna simply talk about he couldn't show up in Game 7s. What a shame this has been. You know, and I like James Harden. I thought he'd done well. Of any player that was deserving to have a good postseason run, and it was looking like that, was James Harden, in my opinion. And unfortunately, that's not the case, and it's partly his own doing and partly because of his history. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this, man. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'm out.